Treats. Let's go. Ready to rock and roll.
Who's been sitting in my?
Like that behavior.
Jennifer's sitting over there this morning.
I'll take that.
Keep the squirrel on the tree.
That's right.
All right. Thank you. I don't know. It's just kind of fun. It just tells me where I'm at right now. I'm at in Georgia. Don't email it if you're trying to get a hold of me. I made that crystal clear, I believe, to everybody. If you're trying to get a hold of me, do not email me. So, of course, all those in favor. All right, I'd like to open up the Village Council special meeting Tuesday, October 4th, 2022. I showed the time at 6:01, and I showed we have a full quorum here. The reason for this meeting is to discuss Union County sewer pump issues and options to assess. First up, I'd like to consider allowing council members who are on here so that one needs to participate remotely. We need the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Next up, we have items of discussion. B, discussion Union County sewer pump issues and options to assess.
So can I start?
Please.
Okay. So we all received an email Thursday from Chairman Rape letting us know that Union County Board of Commissioners should have a ordinance at their October 17th meeting. and he shared this with an email. We responded letting them know, that this is of the utmost importance to the village because of the roundabout. If the sewer project or the pump station doesn't get approved, the roundabout gets delayed and the monetary amount goes way up. So Mayor Polino and I had a conversation with Chairman Rape on Monday to let him know, anything that we could do to help kind of facilitate that, and moving that forward, we would be more than happy to. He is gonna work on it on his end, but sees it, on that agenda. So we'll kind of, we'll have our eye on that. But in the meantime, I don't feel, and this is kind of why Mayor Polino and I talked about it, we don't feel like we can sit and wait, which is what we've been doing. We've been very patient with the county, going through this entire process, and we need to kind of have in our back pocket, what happens if they come out and say no? What are our options? What can we do? And how can we continue to move this ball forward? Because again, we need the roundabout done. And if the ordinance doesn't get passed and approved for the sewer, for the pump station, then we don't get our roundabout. So I kind of did a little flow chart here. So our options are, if the ordinance passes, yes, then we're good. The roundabout goes about, we're good. We can continue moving that ball forward. If no, then our options are, we can condemn the property, which we've already talked about multiple times. DOT keeps coming to us, asking us if we're ready to do that, and we have not been, because we've been very patient waiting for the county to make a decision. If we condemn it, we're not gonna have to redesign it because we will keep the fourth leg of the roundabout. There would be no heritage neighborhood. There would be no heritage district, because if we can't get sewer over there, the commercial side needs it. It is gonna be significantly more money because of the amount of money we're gonna have to pay to condemn it, for attorney's fees, to pay for the land, and there'll be a delay in it because that will take time. It won't get done next year. So then you've got cost of inflation, cost of goods. And as we all know, we're on the hook for 50% of all of the overruns.
Is there an estimate how much that?
No. A couple $100,000 to condemn it is what DOT told us without being specific, because we don't know what the attorney costs are gonna be. We don't know because the landowner's gonna have their attorneys, which obviously we don't need to worry about their costs, but DOT is gonna have theirs. We're gonna have ours, and we're on the hook for theirs and ours. 50% of theirs, 100% of ours. And then, we're gonna have to pay for the land, and I don't know what that assessment, Christina, do you know what that came in at? Do you remember? Yeah. Okay, then that's fine. So yes, we don't know exactly how much it's gonna cost, but it'll probably be a few $100,000 for fees, et cetera. And then, yeah, and then, inflation and product cost. Okay, so that's one road, condemning it. Next route is do a three-legged roundabout only. We wouldn't have to condemn it, so we're gonna save costs on the land, but then Meadowlark only gets a right in, right out of their neighborhood, which I don't think is ideal. It's gonna cost more money because we're going to have to redesign it, which is going to take time, which then delays it even longer. And again, no development, no Marvin Heritage District. So we need to come up with, I don't like either one, and yes, and we're gonna have the officers out there for longer, which if it were up to me, we'd pull those if they say no. And put up a giant sign that says who people can call if they're unhappy with that corner. A giant banner, a sign, giant banner, and I'm okay with that. So we have those two options, which I don't like either one of those options, and it's gonna delay the roundabout by at least 2 years. So it'll be at least 2 years before the roundabout goes in, and a lot more money to the taxpayers in Marvin. So again, we're hoping that they make that decision to approve the pump station so that we can get the roundabout done. But I feel like we need to have some more options on the table. I kind of think that's what we're here to talk about.
I got an option.
Okay.
And I know that I've kind of thought out loud around some people, but I go back to the old adage, if you want something done, you do it yourself. And I think the option should be is not allow Union County to control what we're trying to do. We work very hard to there's been a lot of time, money, and energy put into growing the Marvin Heritage District and bringing that, at least bringing it to a point where it is something that we can build upon and grow. And what we're going to do now is just let Union County basically say, if they say no, they basically are in control of everything we do moving forward. So my option would be that we work with and entertain looking at putting our own, doing it ourselves. And then as we do that, we are then in control of how the roundabout goes. We're not going to be delayed because of the roundabout. The roundabout's not going to be delayed because of the pump station. We take all of the additional costs that are there. We take those off the table because now we have a clean path to make this happen. We don't have to worry about Metalark having a right in and right out, that option, because we've already got the fourth leg option there. And we just move this forward. Now, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to work with Union County, but we can position ourselves in a position of strength rather than a position of weakness and go, listen, we need an interlocal agreement. And this is something, and having a municipality do their own pump station, this isn't new, as with all the information that I've looked up. So we have a blueprint of actually how to go in and put our own pump station in. And then at that point in time, the development and the Heritage District we would come to the village of Marvin for their sewer and water. And we would just have an interlocal agreement with Union County to buy our sewer and water at a wholesale, and then we sell it back at a retail so we cover the cost of the pump station. Outside of us doing our own pump station to stay in control or have a say in how we move forward, and I got to tell you, if I look at these costs, I'm probably thinking that it's going to cost us somewhere between rough costs, because I know how much it increased, the roundabout increased. We're talking about a roundabout that's going on in down here that's going to be, at one point in time was 1 million, now it's 5 million. So the increase of delaying that roundabout, let's just say for giggles, let's just say it's just one more year. Two things with that. The price of that, I have to think, goes up at least 20% of what we currently have, and that falls back on us as well. But then we have to go back to not only our constituents and say, oh yeah, we're going to delay it again another year, but it's Union County's constituents as well. I think we have a better path of working an interlocal agreement with Union County because it's their constituents as well. If this gets shot down, I'm cautiously optimistic because it's been shot down three times.
Yeah.
That they told us. I think it was 4, but I'm going to be conservative and say 3, that it's already been shot down. And now they're saying they're going to at least
brought up.
it hasn't.
No, but
But-
it has been promised that it will be
Okay, so
ready.
officially, they have not necessarily, they put a moratorium.
Yeah, but Mayor, I want to be clear about the moratorium. We've requested this many months ago. At what time the moratorium was never brought up. It was never a point of, you can't do this because there's a moratorium. Jones Homes has spent an extensive amount of money. We've spent an extensive amount of money getting all the preparation to put a approval in, they're putting their packet in to get a pump station done, which the first time they were told no. At which I was in that meeting and not one time, not one person from staff or county commissioner said, oh, by the way, there's a moratorium and there's not a good chance that this is going to ever pass. It was actually the opposite of that. If you check all of these boxes, there's a great chance this will get approved because it's not a singular purpose pump station, it's a multi-purpose pump station, which in fact they went back. They spent a great deal of money to get all that information put together, submitted it back to Union County, and now we just don't even hear anything. We don't but thank the two of you for reaching out to the county commissioners and having them understand the significance and the impact that it's going to be on Marvin constituents, Waxhaw constituents, Union County constituents, if this doesn't even come to a vote. At least we got them to the point they're coming to a vote. So my recommendation would be that we put it in our own hands and take the path of doing the pump station on our own.
You gonna say something? Okay. I agree with you. I mean, I was at a meeting last night. I can tell you it was probably one of the shortest Union County meetings that ever was done. And I can kind of see where the issues are going to be going forward as the new election in November and the new guard, if you will, comes into play. I do have some concerns as far as, and I don't know if this is a question for Hunter or not, but is he on? Oh, he is? Okay. Say we got into the water or sewer business, some other terms we're calling it, but to say we got into that business and we're doing it, and we can control, it would just be for this area only, correct?
That would be a question for y'all to decide if you want to do the overlay only or the entire village of Marvin. That's a question that I had written down.
I don't know that we can answer that question right now. I think to start, it would be just for the Heritage District.
Yeah, I don't know how that works, to be honest with you. I'd have to do a little bit of research on it.
And with this, not that, because I just want to be clear, we're not doing this to push that development, in my view. We're not doing this to push that development. We're doing this to get the roundabout, because that development is a piece of it that is, and just to be on the record, is a piece of it that is allowing us to get the fourth lane that was never promised supposedly by DOT, which I thought it was. It was always scheduled to be a 3 roundabout. So this will bring the fourth leg in, number one. I'm not a big fan of condemning, and my thought is that the least expensive way to go for the village would be to not condemn and just have it go to a 3-legged. But that's where we appealed to the county commissioners, Kim and I, and said, look, I don't think you guys are getting the whole story on this. But one of the things that I'm concerned about is if we do a water district and sewer district that we control and we sell wholesale, for anyone that develops in this heritage district, does the permitting and all that go away? Or does it still go through the county?
That's going to be part of that interlocal agreement.
Permitting for,
Well, whatever they decide.
The
Well,
taps,
tap
you got a
fees?
tap fee, you got
Yeah.
all this other stuff.
You've got a permit fee. I mean, it's exactly like what you do to go to the county. If it's this is my assumption, if it's within the Heritage District, if the land's within the Heritage District, they have to come then to the village to get the permit, the tap fee, et cetera.
So say we wave the magic wand and we get what Jamie's proposing and we approve that and we have that in this heritage district. So we set the tap fees, I would assume, because there is a tap fee, right? And
Yep.
there's a water and sewer tap fee.
And the retail gallons.
Yeah. And then
right.
Which
we-
would be,
And I think the key comes into how we maintain the pump station going forward and how that, and that's got to be structured into the cost too, or whatever we charge whoever's in the Heritage District. because
Yeah.
That's, I think, the biggest concern.
yeah.
from,
So
Well,
in terms of the tap fees, I can't answer that question right now, but I can do some research on it. I will tell you that the infrastructure would still be the counties. I would find it highly unlikely that they wouldn't want to at least recoup what they would have received in tap fees. It would be part as a part of the interlocal agreement, as Mayor Pro Tem mentioned. I would venture to say that the Village of Marvin could go above and beyond if Union County was willing to allow the tap fees to go through us. But I would think they would want at least the minimum of what they would have received otherwise.
So I believe the state issues the final permit. Union County does not. Our engineer would do the first technical review based on the county and state regulations.
State permit for the pump station itself,
Yeah,
not the actual water tap.
Where are we going to get our water?
we'd have to buy it from Union County through their
Right.
line,
that would be what the interlocal agreement would be.
which
Yeah.
then.
And I did check I reached out to both mayors of Weddington and Waxaw, they currently do not have any interlocal agreements with,
Oh,
county.
but they might be working on it.
might be working on it, so. I mean, I think they're frustrated as well too, and just my
Listen,
sense of talking to them.
there's so many unknowns with this, right? And I'm not saying we need to make that decision right now because I really, again, like Jamie said, I'm cautiously optimistic that we're gonna get this passed on the 17th. But this is something that we need to start thinking about. We cannot sit back on our heels anymore because the roundabout is not gonna get done and it is gonna end up costing us a lot more money. So I would say that, let's let Christina do some homework, do some, digging around and then bring it back at the October work session, even though she's not gonna be here. Hunter can present it. But hopefully we're not gonna need it. Hopefully they will have passed it on the 17th and this is gonna be a moot point. But we cannot just continue to sit back on our heels and wait.
Do y'all want me to go ahead and ask the county if they're inclined to?
No, because I want to know what they say
Yeah,
on the 17th.
I think we have a little bit of time, is my understanding. The 17th would be still time.
Yeah, to
for
get
everything
the
from
roundabout,
DOT
yeah.
I think DOT is giving
The
somewhere I heard
29th or
End of
something.
the end of
October,
October.
to make a
But
condemnation.
Again, it looks like we will get at least 3 votes, I hope. And again, all they're promising is that they will bring it up for a vote. I'm pretty optimistic as well, but again, if it doesn't happen.
Well, no,
we're
what
back in
we
the
were
place.
told was
And
it's gonna
again,
be on the
If
agenda.
it's yes, when? And if it's no, why? And then we move forward on something, because we got to be creative, which is what I've been telling them. And I mentioned that last night when they approved the bond for the Bonds Grove, not the bond, but the shared agreement
Shared
with
costs.
CRTPO. It was $500,000. It's all the money that they had for that particular thing. And there was a little bit of pushback on it, but in seeing that and being there, I think they understand, or at least since our conversations and individually reaching out to them, I think they understand that this does need to be done. There's no more reason for this to be delayed, but you just don't know. You just don't know if it's.
Well, I want to be, this is just my belief. And I've said this before, it's not if the pump station's going in there. Please listen to what I'm saying. It's not if the pump station is going in there. It's when the pump station goes in there. I say that emphatically because if they vote it down, it's going to go in there sometime, but in between now and when it goes in there, it's going to cost the people of Marvin a significant amount of money in roundabout, in legal, in engineering, and all the other things that we talked about. And it's as if someone's going, well, you know what, that's on y'all. But it's not on y'all. It's on their constituents, our constituents or their constituents. And to say that to say that, well, okay, even if they give us the thumbs down, if I were sitting here today and I was a betting man, in 3 years, that pump station is going to be there. The pump station will be there, but it will cost us, let's just say $500,000. Well, that's a lot of money. That's not something to sneeze at. So I would rather take the money that it's going to cost us and own it than sit back and just go, oh darn, we lost this one. I'd rather go ahead and fight it. And I'm cautiously optimistic. Y'all have done a great job of getting in front of it. And you've pushed the right buttons and the right people. And we've been told that it's going to come up for a vote. And that's all we can, because up until Friday, was it Friday? We didn't even have that. It wasn't on there. Thursday. It wasn't, not only was it not on the agenda, it wasn't even talked about between the commissioners. Staff was sitting on it going, well, we might look at it. Well, what's to say that we're going to wait for another election and it takes them 90 days? Well, in 90 days, this is done. It's over with. We're going to start writing checks, future checks, because it impacts our roundabout. It impacts DOT. It impacts their, whatever, and everything gets put on hold.
So I like our option B, I would say. And Christina, I would ask that and I only checked with 2 municipalities and none of them have an interlocal agreement. Is that something that you can, not necessarily with Union County, but where other municipalities have worked with the counties and had interlocal agreements where, we're not reinventing the wheel here and there's some sort of.
I can tell you, when I worked for Albemarle, we did this a lot. We were actually a water sewer wholesale provider for other municipalities. So
You've been in the business before.
um,
The quote unquote
so it's not uncommon
business.
for folks to do. In fact, I actually had interesting enough, I had a conversation with Waxhaw town manager today. If you remember in
Town
that
manager?
town manager in Waxhaw.
Some town manager. Got it.
What
Sorry.
did I
Nope,
say?
you said it right.
Oh.
That's not what I was thinking.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Interesting. I basically asked them, they were in the same denial of Union County pump stations. I think there were 5 denied at one time. There was the Weddington Green, I think it was, the Heritage Project in Marvin, Waxhaw Town Hall was one of them. I don't recall the last 2, but those were among the denied applications for pump stations in the April meeting, if I remember correctly, in Union County. So I did ask him this morning, we were meeting about something completely unrelated, what they were going to do, because we just went to their groundbreaking the other day and they're scheduled to start construction in the next couple of months. And if they hadn't had water and sewer figured out, I was just curious what they were doing. It's a $20 million project, just their town hall. And interestingly, they have actually secured an easement through their property from the school. So Union County staff was able to kind of negotiate with the school board to allow an easement to be done so that they could have access to gravity flow sewer, so the pump station was no longer needed. So it's a non-issue for them. However, because of the issues that have arose from the pump station denial, they actually put into their CIP in this year a analysis of sewer projects that are coming up in the next several years. They're basically looking at all of their property that they're looking to develop. Let's say the future land use plan is looking to develop over the next several years, and they're doing a study on how much sewer is going to be had with those parcels, so that they are able to, number one, know what they don't know, to make plans for how they're going to meet sewer infrastructure needs in the future, whether that's an interlocal agreement, whether that's doing it themselves, or whether it's doing nothing, at least so that they know and are aware of potential issues that may come down the line. They're looking at options. They're looking at what they don't know and then assessing the options, what that might be. It was just interesting because we're talking about the same thing.
Also, I mean, it makes sense for us to bring it up at WUMA too. I mean, that put it on the agenda and say, look, because I think it was said to us, if I'm not mistaken, what was the number he used? Ad valorem?
So
Ad
the
valorem.
ad
Valorem.
ad
valorem.
valorem taxes for Union County, all of the taxes, Waxhaw, Weddington, and Marvin combined make up 3/4 of all of them. Just those three municipalities of all of Union County make up 3/4 of their ad valorem taxes.
The valuation of Union County resides in those three.
So that should get their attention is what I'm saying, is because we need to know, again, if yes, when, if no, why. And that's going to keep on happening, but I think it's better. I think if I were in their shoes, I'd be probably trying to figure out a way to excuse the how long it's been, because they really don't have, there is no answer. And the only answer would be to go ahead and move forward with the pump stations, but figure out a way that it gets paid for, whether, and they don't like doing this either, raising taxes or whatever, but it appears that whatever the cost is for the sewer and that has never been factored in, because that is, I think, their biggest gripe is anytime they have to put one in, it's a maintenance issue 10 years down the road. And I don't think they planned for that, is what I'm thinking. I think they're trying to figure out a way to now do it. It can't be done because it'd be considered an impact fee, I would guess.
Sorry, one thing I forgot to mention is, as I was talking to the manager, he actually was at his prior location. They were the complete opposite. They were involved in interlocal agreements with the city that provided water and sewer to them. So it is very common.
Okay. So can we ask Albemarle? Can we get information from Albemarle to say how does that work? Give us.
I just don't want to
give us the
reinvent
blueprint.
the wheel from an attorney standpoint. If
Yeah.
there's a boilerplates that we can say, okay, here's what you do when you want to be in the business of water, sewer, whatever. it
Well,
is.
for us, doing that due diligence now before this comes up.
Yep.
Because what we want to be able to do is go to them, get the blueprint, and then we hand it back to our attorney. And basically, he's just using it and asking questions and filling in names and stuff like that, as opposed to us trying to just start it from scratch.
So let me ask you this, because I know you thought this up as kind of just talking out loud, and then all of a sudden became like, wow, that's a great idea. Have we thought of is there any other option than us, to your point, when you want something done, do it yourself? Is there any other option?
There's a couple of options. One is not going to be of interest of Meadowlark, and that's running the line to the pump station at Broadmoor, which is going to require easements along their property, which is probably not something that's going to be very well taken from those residents. So it's probably not going to happen.
So having to go through Meadowlark, because that was proposed a long time ago, and I know for a fact that that did not fall on favorable
Yeah.
ears with any of the property owners there.
The second option is one that's not pretty favorable either, and that's putting the infrastructure in yourself. So, I mean, that's actually running lines, water sewer lines to and from the treatment plants and getting into water and sewer business like an actual provider and not just an interlocal. Aside from that, I have to think about it a little bit more, but those are the only two options that pop up in my head now. Unless Hunter has anything that you can think of off the top of your head.
Is there? I'm just trying to think outside the box here. We know that Union County has an agreement with Mecklenburg County to take sewer from us. They do not have an agreement with Lancaster County. Would that be an option for us to explore? Having some kind of a local agreement with Lancaster County, being that they're downhill.
You'd have to have the infrastructure lines ran through wherever it's going from to. So right now Union County has the lines to wherever it goes. I don't even know where it goes.
6 Mile, maybe.
But
It
we'd
goes
have to
on
look at
Mecklenburg
what's
County.
underground to see who we could enter an
Yeah,
agreement with.
Because this could possibly be an option for not only Marvin, but for Waxhaw, because we border Lancaster County. And it is all downhill in that direction. So it would gravity feed to Lancaster County
Okay, hang on.
naturally. So that's what I was just wondering, is there any way, I mean, like for a Plan C, would Lancaster County entertain any of that with their sewer infrastructure? Would they
I mean, we'd have to get some infrastructure to wherever they are.
Right,
Obviously this one would be the easiest
Okay.
because it's right there,
right.
but I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask.
Just saying
It
Plan
doesn't hurt to
C,
find out.
that's, as we go down the list, it may not be perfect ideas, but it's better than nothing, I suppose.
Another option too that I just thought of as we're sitting here is, as you mentioned, the three ad valorem holders. There's always the potential to start a water and sewer authority. Is a standalone entity that the three parties would share costs and infrastructure into, and that would provide water and sewer for the two places. Whoever wants to participate, if that's an option that
I know, but we're
multiple
not getting the ad
jurisdictions.
valorem taxes. The county is. I mean, we're getting a portion of it, but we're not getting what they're getting. So
no,
we're gonna have a hard time like paying for it, right?
we would, essentially what that would mean is an overlay district similar to the Marvin Heritage. And we would combine whoever wanted to participate, Waxhaw, Marvin, Weddington, whoever wanted to say, all right, we're willing to pay X amount of dollars over the course of how many years to create a separate water and sewer system, which means us three would come together to create this massive system to be in our own business amongst the three of us.
Yeah,
That seems a little,
would that entail taking over existing county lines, or we would have to put in all our own new lines, or we could tailor it to our needs?
It would be dependent on what the county would be willing to relinquish. And Hunter said he may have an idea if y'all want to hear.
sure,
Okay.
ideas are free.
Someone said that.
Somebody did say that.
Hunter, you can go ahead.
Okay. Well, one thing I heard you guys talking about, I mean, it's still probably involved since the county has the utility kind of for the whole county, but the pump station would flow to Mecklenburg County. It's going to come down to, I mean, like in theory, then to install a pump station, and we're talking about installing the infrastructure, we would only have to install enough linear footage for gravity to either tie into whatever. I mean, the counties where we'd run our own line down Marvin Road to the pump station.
So
Most likely it's
he's essentially discussing the potential of a combined our infrastructure / interlocal agreement for a portion of Union
Yeah.
counties is what he's
because
basically saying.
I'm sure. I mean, the county may either do an interlocal, or they may say, "Hey, if you want to purchase that amount of linear footage for the infrastructure, and we maintain it." Now, I'm not saying that's what we necessarily want to do, but instead of trying to purchase either all of Marvin or all of that, all it has to do is the only infrastructure we need would be what runs down Marvin Road to the pump station in Mecklenburg County.
So it's a combined of everything we've just
Yeah.
referenced.
I would say,
We can look at.
let's do some research. Let's talk to some people. Let's get this train rolling. Let's report back at the work session, and hopefully we'll have great news on the 17th that this has been approved and we can move on and we don't have to worry about this. But, the roundabout's the most important thing, and I'm tired of not having it. I'm tired of talking about it.
So I've written down 4 things that I want to make sure this is all you guys want me to cover, and that's who sets the tap fees? Can we do just a portion of our entire district, or do we have to do our entire overlay, i.e. Village of Marvin or MHD? You want examples of interlocal agreements, and then you want to look at the possibility of the Lancaster County. Anything else?
Well, that'd be, if the county didn't want to play nice in the sandbox, could we go to Mecklenburg? Or no? I'm asking.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, but we're gonna have to put in lines.
We'd have to
Right,
run our own
right.
line that they just
Which we can
ran.
do.
I think we're just trying to keep it. I mean, I heard a lot of ideas and they're great ideas and they're all worth going after, but my God, one of the options can be we can just have it trucked in from New York and do it that way, or trucked out.
Yeah.
This is a simple, we're making something very complex, and let's hope that we get out of this way.
Right.
And I know we're looking at options, but my God, if some of these options we had to go through because someone simply just says, we just don't have an ordinance to do this, is kind of absurd and crazy. So let's just be cautiously optimistic. We've been, it's a season of trick or treat. We've been tricked many times. And I think if the options should, we should look at all the options.
So then the only thing I would say too is if we did get because I think you're right. We get the thumbs up on this, everything's good. We get the thumbs down on this, we immediately go to potentially a resolution to send to things, and we have you, WUMA, join us in that with all the towns, because they're gonna face the same damn thing on the, whatever development that they're, or
Well,
roundabout for
but you
that
have to,
matter.
you have to understand, and I want to be clear, anybody listening on here and anyone else, I want to be perfectly clear. This is not about that development.
No, I know that. That's my point though, but it's.
This
but
is,
it's-
this is,
All towns are facing the same issue.
I
of- it's-
understand, but
Because it's
you-
an ordinance. that needs to be in
but
place.
you kind of made the point that this was, that other municipalities are going to come across it for developments. This isn't about a development. This is about our roundabout. Because
In our
let's
heritage.
just say there's no development. Let's just say there's no heritage district whatsoever. Let's erase all of that. If they say no, we get to go back to our constituents and say, hey, just wanted to let you know that we're going to probably, at least 1 year delay, maybe 2. And we get to pay for the sheriffs for Waxhaw again. That's not gonna, I gotta think that, doesn't sit well with me, because we've been trying to put that roundabout in since what, 2018, 19, something like that? So let's just erase everything else, and I want to be perfectly clear, because I don't want someone to come back to this council and say, well, you're just trying to do this for a development. No, I'm doing it so we can get a roundabout, and we can take care, we are in control of the Marvin Heritage District, not Heritage at Marvin.
Not the neighborhood.
But to be fair, and you may not like to hear this being from the neighborhood you are, I would opt for just the 3-legged route, because we need the roundabout.
I understand, but
Redesign and.
But
That's my whole point.
but
If they
you're-
already have it in place, but you know what I'm saying? Is like, I'm not in the business of condemning land, is what my point is, because that's what we would have to do.
we all agreed to that, but I'm also fighting for Meadowlark.
Exactly.
I don't, because they can sit there and say all day long, no, we're okay with a right in, right out. You know what? And about a month later, they're gonna come back and they're gonna start yelling at us because we didn't fight Union County on it hard enough, which we should be doing, and that's what we're doing, because it should be a 4-leg roundabout. That's the most optimal thing. So let's just say, oh, let's not fight it. We'll just go to a 3-leg. Our option B is we'll just go to a 3-leg roundabout. No, let's get it. If we're gonna do it, let's do it right. If we're gonna get the approval, that's great. If not, we need to, if you want something done right, you do it yourself. And I think that's the option we're looking at. So I don't want to beat a dead horse here.
All right. Any other comments from council? Christina, you have your sort of direction, what you need to do?
I do.
Okay.
Your own time.
Oh.
All right, on
Any
that
other comments?
note, Bob, Arena, you good?
Yeah, I'm listening. I've also listened to constituents. I'm listening to Councilman Lyons, proposal. And I'm looking at it as a problem-solving exercise. And the first thing listening to the constituents, they feel like there needs to be a 4-legged roundabout as opposed to a 3. That's the first thing. So that's where the focus is. When it comes to a developer, like, Jamie has said, the developers come and developers go. And I feel like we need to get a 4-legged roundabout. Now, we have our zoning in place for the Heritage District, so that idea is not going anywhere. It's there in place. But we don't have to have Heritage District tomorrow. We don't have to have it 5 years from now. There's no rush for anything. We don't have to have anything happen on that corner. We need to take care of the traffic in this town. And My feeling is I'm concerned, don't know what the cost of it is, and I like Jamie's thought of us taking control. I don't know what the cost of a pump station is and what that's gonna cost us. But I think the faster we run up on this thing, if we have to have condemnation, it wasn't us, it's not us that's doing it, it's the DOT that's doing it. So my personal feeling is, if it's only, I'm saying, if, let's say, for example, a pump station is gonna cost 500,000, but condemnation is gonna cost us 200,000. And it's cheaper if we put in the four-legged roundabout now. Money now versus money later. I think let's do what we need to do to put in a fourth-legged roundabout. Let's get that taken care of first. If a development, if whoever Jones walks, they walk. And my feeling, as far as the Heritage District, we got our town hall. It's here. It's the focus point of the Heritage District. We anchored the other side of it, if you will. We're proud of this. And my feeling is the Heritage District will happen. And that pump station, to Jamie's point, will happen. And it'll happen probably with the county's blessings. A year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, it'll happen. We're going to fight for the Heritage District. But what I'm saying is, if nothing happens now, I don't know what the rush is, other than getting the roundabout in. I think that's where our focus is. We need to help out the community of Meadowlark. I think we need to get that in place. And we owe nothing to any developer. We owe nothing to, like I said, our plan of having the Heritage District happen. That's a nice idea. It's a nice idea, but it doesn't have to happen tomorrow. It doesn't have to happen. It'll happen when it happens. We already put the zoning in place. We already put the wheels in motion. So my personal opinion is, I think the focus is on that fourth-legged roundabout, whatever we need to do to make it happen. That's my opinion.
Andy?
I think that the fourth leg is the most important. I think the best way to get there is to get the sewer taken care of, because that gives us the donation of the land for the fourth leg.
Yep.
It makes the most sense. It's the cheapest option to go. And I like Jamie's idea as a plan B if the county doesn't play ball. I'm optimistic that they will come to their senses and actually do something at this point. But if they don't, then we just need to have a plan B.
Okay. Wayne?
Whatever we do is gonna cost us, but, the more it costs, the less we were able to do. I mean, it's gonna get hard to sell it to a lot of people. When you get, it's gonna get up in the digits, it's gonna cost us a lot.
Oh, it is. Yeah, this gets delayed. That's going to cost a lot because it's going to be officers. It's going to be redesign. It's going to be condemnation prices. It's going to be, I mean, inflation. It's going to be a lot of things, and we're not going to have the money to pay for it. And if we have to go down this road, I mean, we're going to have to start talking about tax increases. Oh, I don't want to say that because I don't want to have to do it, but it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yep.
A lot.
Can I add one more? I hope this is a very
I'm
quick
finished
point.
though.
Okay. If we have to go to Plan B and we do that, and that's something that we're looking at doing, we haven't even discussed, and that's a later discussion, but when we say cost of putting that in, I think the cost of money that we save on us doing it ourselves, as opposed to just letting it just fade away and do nothing. There is money there from us, but we haven't even talked about what we're going to sell back to, the cost we're going to recoup in the Heritage District. And we haven't even talked about going to Jones Homes and saying, okay, this helps you out in your stuff. What can you bring to us? What can you help us? And I'd be willing to say that and think that they would be appreciative of what we've done with our Plan B, and that they might help us in some form or fashion.
All right. Since we've all sort of said our piece and stuff, if we know what direction we want to go, I'll, I guess, ask to adjourn this meeting.
So moved.
All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Just to understand the county's, you know, like when you build a road, right, you gotta maintain it, right? It's a system-wide thing. So why are they so hesitant about?
Because they know it's going to cost them money, and they're seeing all the pump stations they put in. It's costing them money, and they haven't planned for it. So it's just like and they don't have a